This conference will now be recorded.
So there is no code reusability was available in your assembly language, but people went to procedure language. But procedure, like C is one of the example of your procedure language or structure oriented language, where it has also have come some of the disadvantages. One like the platform dependent. It is not only one. There are many, but there is one of the dependencies nothing but your structure oriented language or procedure oriented language is like platform dependent, so you cannot execute that same code in other platforms. Once you write the code in Windows, you cannot execute the same code in Linux or Mac systems. So where it is has a platform dependency issue. It's same. And there are like security, there are a lot of other reasons, but I've just taken one of the example. But when it comes to the object oriented language, like you have Java as an example of your object oriented language. Or what is a OOPS is nothing but there are some principles like your encapsulation, polymorphism. We'll be discussing all those ongoing. So OOPS is nothing but a concept which will tell, okay, it has to follow some set of rules and regulations. So based on that, Java has been developed and arranged, and it has very got famous and very popular because of its own advantages compared to other things. Whenever it comes to very big applications or enterprise applications, people used to prefer Java because of the security and more flexible in it. So like understanding of your Java code makes other programming languages also very comfortable, because if you learn Python or when you are trying to learn any other new technology, mostly it will be object oriented language, so the principles might be the same, right? And we have just started what is the basic things that you required to start is nothing but what is a class and what is an object. So class is nothing but a virtual thing, or I can call it as a blueprint, where object is a real entity where I'll be representing the things what I want. For example, when you want to do a application for college, your students are object. For when I'm a software, your company employees may be the object. So any real entity is nothing but an object. So your class contains a number of objects. And we have seen with some examples also, and every object will have, I told you, like SBI. What is a SBI? Your state, behavior, identity. State identity is nothing but the unique thing how your objects will be identified, and behavior is nothing but the functions, or you can call it as methods, and state is nothing but the properties that every object will have.
Screen is not visible.
Oh, no, I have not started it. Since I was just recapping it, I have not started. Because I was, as of now, I was recapping the old session, right? Now you can able to see my screen, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
can.
visible. Yes, it's visible.
Now only I'm sharing actually. And we have seen what is how to write a method, and what is the syntax of the method, and what is a return type and all, and what's a class and the examples of it. And I discussed the same thing. What is an this the characters of an object? Like every object will have its state, behavior, and identity. You can read the description if you want. Like state represents the data of an object. Behavior represents an object such as deposit, withdraw, like the actions that an object identifies. Its identity is nothing but how your object is identified. Whenever you are trying to create an object or thing, there will be some hash code will be generated for everything, for every uniquely identification. So there is some, what is a whatever I told you, you can read it in the slide. What is an object and what is a class? I do not want to read it like manually. You can just look at it. That will be the same what I have told you. Object is an instance of a class. So your class will be the blueprint. Your class may have a number of objects. So this we'll see, this is the syntax of creating an object. So you'll be using different ways of creating, but mostly we'll use new keyword to create an object. So new instance method, no clone, internally they'll be using it, but mostly whenever we try to create an object, we'll be creating but class name, reference variable, and new keyword and an object. This is where we'll be doing it generally. I hope you are clear on what is a class and what is object, right? Because this is the basic thing to go forward. So generally how I'll be starting is nothing but the syntax of your class will be so how I'll be declaring your class is nothing but a class and class name and start of the class and end of the class. So this is nothing but your syntax of your class name. So syntax of your class declaration. So for example, if I want to write an employee class, so I'll write with a class is a predefined word in Java. So there are predefined keywords mostly in Java will be using it. So your class is a predefined thing. So whenever I want to write it, I'll be writing a class and my class name. For example, I want to create an employee. So I'll be creating an employee. So actually I want employee is a real entity I want. So where I need to represent in some blueprint or virtual thing. So for that only I'm taking the class. So I'm opening my class and I'm just closing. So this is nothing but your class where you will write your behaviors, where you write your properties, everything. For example, that is a concept called encapsulation. So as an employee may have an ID, employee may have a name, employee will have an address. So whatever the properties that employee is having, that always all the properties should be inside your class. Whatever the functions that employee do, functions or the behaviors, everything, whatever the employee do, that should be inside your class. So everything should be binded inside a class. So that is a concept called encapsulation. So I'll not be discussing separately. Whenever we go on with the things with the concept, whenever it comes, I'll be telling what is encapsulation, what is a polymorphism. So I think you are clear. So encapsulation is nothing but binding everything together. So that is nothing but your OOPS concepts. So how your Java achieved that OOPS concept of encapsulation is nothing but by having a concept called class. So class is an example of encapsulation because all the properties of an employee should be under your class. I cannot write something like int ID, something like int ID or anything. So I cannot write the ID which is belongs to employee, but I should not be are not allowed to write outside the class. That should be your inside of the class. So nothing comes outside the class. So this is the syntax of your class. And when you want to write, when you want to create an object, your object creation syntax will be, as I told you, your class name and some reference variable. So it can be anything. So how reference variable is nothing but when you want to store a value. For example, I want to store an ID. How I'll be writing ID equals to 2. And I want to store a name. I'll be writing string name equals to some Raj. Right. So here name is nothing but the variable or the property which will hold this values, and ID is a property which will hold this value. Right. Same like whenever you create an object, the object should be held by some reference variable, right, where it will hold the address of the object creation. So whenever whatever you do, it will take memory in the system, right? So whenever you create an object, there is a memory created in heap area. That memory has to be held by some variable. So that is nothing but I'm giving some EMP as a reference variable. It can be anything, EAB, anything. So I'm just giving EMP as a reference variable. As I told you, syntax will be new and a constructor. We'll see what is this constructor. So the syntax will be class name, reference variable, and a new keyword and a constructor. So this is your syntax of object creation. So your class name is employee. So that's the reason I'm written as employee. If it is a, I should be writing it as a. So here a reference variable, a variable can be anything, and a new keyword and a constructor. So constructor is something same like your class name, but it should have the brackets and it looks like a method, but it is not the method. We'll see what is a constructor exactly on upcoming classes. But remember, this is the syntax of creating your object. Hope you are clear with this. And so this is your main method. So like your C has the main method, similarly your Java is also having your main method, right? So we'll see why you have this access. Whenever we discuss an access specifier, I'll come back and tell you why there is a reason they have given a main method as public and why they have given static and what is this, why they are not written. We'll have the justification for each and everything over here. But if the program starts from the main method, so whenever your JVM, whenever you start any executing, if you are working with some other languages like C or something, you might have seen like you have a main method in C also. Same like in Java also you have main method. Why this is nothing but, for example, in a program you have 100 methods or whatever the methods, like you have 10 or 20 methods, but whenever you are trying to run it, JVM will call only the main method, right? So from that main method, it is your responsibility to call your other methods which you want to be executed. So the name indicates it is the starting point where you will be creating, where we will be calling other methods. We'll see how to call other methods from your main method, but this is nothing but the starting point. And there's an access specifier, there's a keyword, and as I told you, we'll come and justify. As I told you, I think you are clear with what is void. Main method will not return anything, and that's the reason it has a return type called void. This is the name of the method. Why it's a name? Because it's a main. It's a justification. They have given a name, and it will take a parameter of string arrays. Right? Whenever they are trying to call a main method, JVM will pass an arrays or a string array. So just like an example, there's system.out.println is something when you want to print something in a console, you'll be using the statement. So how to call any function from a main method? So this is how, right? So you see, this is how you declare a class, right? A class, there was a class start syntax and you have a class end syntax whenever you are trying to call it. So you see the first statement comes to your main method. That is nothing but your public static void main. So this is private static void my function. That is nothing but in a application I have written the function. So first what happens, it will come, your program starts executing from your main method. So from main method, it is your responsibility to call other functions. So I'll be calling some my function from it. So what happens, it will call it, the controller moves to my function, and after that it will start executing that my function. After executing that my function, it will go to the place where it got called. So from where my function got called, it got called from the main method, right? So again it will go to the main method. From the main method, if you have any other function, it will go to that function, but if you do not have it, the controller will come back. So this is a simple flow of every Java program, right? If you write a Java program with 1,000 lines or 10,000 lines, whatever it may be, this flow is a constant throughout it. Like this, the flow will be the same. So like you have some bigger task, what you do, you will make it as smaller tasks, right? So once the task has been finished, the controller will come to the main person, right? It is like you are organizing some function or something, like you have like different activities like dancing, singing. There are a lot of activities for everyone. For dancing you have one authorized person, for singing you'll have one authorized person. So they will perform their action, right? After completing their action, there will be some like the, what I may say, the leader or someone who will be taking care of them. So whenever they complete it, they should report to this person. The same like whenever you have large functionality, what happens, you divide into very small pieces. Whenever the function finishes, it will come to the controller. So your controller is nothing but your main method. I hope you are clear with this flow. We'll see with the execution also by using an ID called Eclipse. But before going, I think please let me know any queries in it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's clear.
Okay, thank you. So we'll be using an ID called Eclipse to execute. So generally your Java programs can be done in Notepad also, but it is very complex. So hope you install this Eclipse, okay, not you have no. So I'll just tell you how to install this Eclipse and what are the basic things that you need it for it. So you can just Google and type your Eclipse, download. It will download. Obviously, it is going to download your latest version, like 2000. This after this also there is one more version came, so it will automatically download the latest version of your Eclipse before based on your Windows, whether it's 64, 30-bit, you can able to install it. The installing is very simple. After before installing your Eclipse, what are the things that you require is nothing but your JDK and JRE. So try to install JDK JRE 1.8 versions. So you have low versions also, because and higher versions also, but standard currently the people are using 1.8. So it is also the same process. Install JDK 1.8, install JRE 1.8. You just type in the Chrome, you can able to install it, and obviously you can see after you are installing, if you go to C, and it will by default, this is the location it is going to install. It will going to install C program file Java. So here you will get this JDK and JRE. So try to install this JDK and JRE 1.8 versions. It will be the default location. After that, you can able to install an Eclipse. So once you install an Eclipse, it will ask you to create a folder. What is a folder is nothing but where you will be writing all your projects. Like whatever the thing I just want to do, I'll be writing it in a project, or where I want to save that class. So you'll be creating a workspace. In that you'll be writing your all your projects. So you can please try to do it, and you can let me know when you have any queries or any issues in it. It is very simple, the installation part. You can please do it. Let me know any queries by tomorrow, or if not, meanwhile also, I think you have a group, right? You can please ask me when you have stuck somewhere and installing this parts. There are a lot of IDs, like you have IntelliJ, you have Eclipse, you have some NetBeans. There are a lot of things, but mostly the industries currently they're using Eclipse. So, and even I was very familiar with Eclipse. That I felt with other comparatively with other tools, I felt Eclipse is a little bit easier and comfortable for me. It is your choice. If you want to go for other tools like NetBeans or IntelliJ, you can able to. But the view or the things that you do will be a little different. That's it. So why basically these tools will do is nothing but makes the things very simplifies. It will give you suggestions if you go with some packages, or and it will be auto compilable. So as I told you, when you write any program, you need to do two things, right? One is compiling your program and is running it, right? So what happens before this IDs, if you try to write your program in Notepad+, and generally what you do whenever you will be writing your program in this Notepad+, the same as I written, so you'll be saving this Notepad some with a Java file, right? And with command prompt, you need to run this program, right? With the Java C command, we'll use to compile the program. So whenever you're trying to compile a program, you will get compile time errors, right? Again, you will solve it. Again, you will go and you will run it. You will get some more compile time errors. So it is like so you cannot able to identify your errors on the fly. So if it is a small hello world program, it is not a bigger test. But assume that when you are trying to write a very big applications, right, like 100 lines of code, and assume that if there is no, if it is not compiling dynamically, and you need to compile and run it in number of times to solve that error, it is very hectic. So those days, but Eclipse solved a lot of this. It's just like it is dynamically, it will show an errors. For example, if I missed some syntax, if I missed some semicolon, dynamically it will show. It is not required you to. So compiling will happen dynamically. You can see this option like build automatically. So whenever I start writing, the compiling will happen. So I'll just run the program itself in the tools. So that's the main advantages. So compared to the your IDs compared writing your programs with Notepad++, Notepad things. This is very good. Sometimes you'll, if you get errors, you'll be learning, but lot of errors you get irritated, right? At the same time. So this is your workspace. Like I have created my Eclipse workspace in some of the folder, and it will open, and whatever the file that I saved, that will be saved in that workspace or the folder. So there is already, I have created it, but do not worry all this. I'll be trying to create a new one. So I'll have a project explorer tab. So in this project explorer tab, I can able to select. So now first I want to write a Java program, right? So this is Eclipse is a tool which will support your standalone application as well as dynamic applications like your web applications or enterprise applications. So I think I have told you yesterday there are Java has different flavors, like you can develop a standalone as well as enterprise applications. So whenever we do that, we'll be discussing how to do it. But as of now, new, you see, like you can develop this enterprise dynamic web projects. There are a lot of projects, right? So, but what we want, we need only the Java project, right? So I'm just selecting a Java, a normal standard. So I just need a Java project. So here I should be giving my project title. So project title can be anything. So it can be demo. I'm just giving something, demo Isha, anything is fine. You see, this is nothing but your, don't worry about all other things. So you see, this is nothing but your demo Isha project I have created. So this is nothing but your is a JRE library. So what is JRE or what is JDK is nothing but your JRE is nothing but Java runtime environment. So whenever you want to run the files, like you are getting this class, you are getting getting, as I told you, class a predefined thing, right? Similarly, you will have other predefined things in Java. So when how you are getting all these things, because there is some library which is available. So that's the reason you can able to get it, right? So Java runtime library which will support the things which you want to run whenever you want to run your applications. You have a JDK, that is nothing but Java development kit. Whenever you want to develop the application, you need it. So we'll see some more detail. We'll go on, and so you see it will create with this JRE system folder, and SRS is nothing but your source folder where I will create a packages as a and a classes. So don't worry, what is a package is nothing but a group of classes. So whenever I do a project, I just want to group some of the classes into at one place. I'll be creating a package. So it's your choice. You can directly go for a class or create a package. I can directly go for a class. It will take the default package. So my first program, anything, something about it. So you see, if you take it, it will take a default package, and you have an option. Just when you check it, it will generate the public method for you. If you don't it will not. You see, for every class, object is a parent class. It came with that syntax, default syntax, as I told you. Public is an access specifier. We'll see that, and a class and a class name. And so as I told you, whenever you want to write your method, you'll be writing your method. After that, you'll be writing your main method. So I'm just writing a method called something void display. So here I just want to display some text. So whenever you want to print on the console, here you will be using system.out.println. So system is a class, out is a reference variable, and println is a method which is present in print streamer class. We see this in upcoming sessions. It is interlinked in Java, so you will understand, but we'll come back, and as I told you, we'll come back and everything and see, because when I discuss of static and non-static only, I can able to explain this. When I discuss about access specifiers only, I can explain why I have defined it public. So after discussing all this concept, we'll come back and see why this are the real. As I told you, main method has public access specifier, and there was a static. So what is the reasons for everything? We'll see once we discussed those access specifiers concepts and static non-static concepts. Something I'm just displaying a text over here. So nothing I'm doing. A method is a one where it will do an action, right? In this method, I'm just displaying some text, as like I'm just trying to show how a program runs. We have seen this flow, right? So the same thing I'm trying to do. In my function, I'm displaying some text in my function. So it's a static, but it's not now this method is not static. And I have a main method, right? So this is a start point of it. So whenever you want to call a non-static method, the methods can be two types. One is a static and non-static. We go more on it. So whenever you want to call a method, the first step is nothing but you need to create an object and call that method a non-static method. So can you tell me the syntax of creating an object is nothing but your class name, some reference variable, it can be anything. Some fs, I'm just writing fs equals to new keyword and a constructor. So I have created an object. So what I need to do, when I want to call in this method, I need to call fs.display. So this is my simple Java program I have written it. So when I want to execute it, I'll just right click on it and click on run as Java application. So you can see the output in console, whatever I have written. Hello Isha. So this is nothing but a simple Java program, and the flow is you understood it. It will start with the main method. We'll call a display method. It will go here and will execute it. After executing, it will come back to your main method, and that's it. Hope it is clear. And we'll see now what is the static and non-static, and we'll try to apply to the more upcoming programs. You see there are types of variables, right? So even you have two types of variables, and this applies to the methods also, but we'll see with variables first. So there are three types of variables that you have in Java. One is nothing but your local variable, one more is your instance variable, and one more is nothing but your static variable. So what is the difference and what we have it when we use all this, and when the memory will be created for all this? So I have a method called something called void m1, and if I declared a variable, as I told you yesterday, what is a declaration and assignment in the previous session. So if I declare a variable and if I assign the value in my inside the method, then I call that as a local variable. So that scope of that variable is within the method itself. So for example, I'll write int a equals to some 6. So this, what is this a now? This a is nothing but local variable because I have declared and assigned that inside my method. So when the memory for this a will be created, whenever we call this method, the memory will be created. When the memory for this a will be destroyed, whenever the method execution completes, the memory for this variable will be destroyed. Because in the system perspective, whenever you write anything, you create an object that has required a memory, you write a method that require a memory, right? So when you are trying to declare a variable, that has to require a memory to store it. So but when that memory will be created and when it will be destroyed, whenever you call this method, this memory will be created. Whenever it executes, that memory gets destroyed. So a variable, this is nothing but your local variable. Since declared inside the method, this you call it as a local variable. Some class I'm writing test. So this is my end of start of the class, and this is nothing but my end of the class. And I have one method. Inside a method, I have a variable. So that is nothing but I may name it as a local variable. So what is a non-static variable or static variable? So a variable that I have declared outside the method but inside the class. Something like int b equals to some 8 or 7. So this is nothing but my instance variable. Or I can say, or this is nothing but non-static variable. So why you are calling it as non-static variable or instance variable? What is that advantages we see? But how you declare this is nothing but you declare that outside your method but inside your class, and your non-static variable or instance variable always belongs to object. Always belongs to object in a sense. So for example, when the memory for local variable will be assigned, whenever you call this method, right? And when the memory will be destroyed for this variable, whenever the method execution complete. Same way, whenever you declare an instance variable, so for that also it requires memory, right? So when the memory will for this instance variable or non-static variable will be assigned is nothing but whenever we create an object. On object creation, the memory will be assigned for this. So how you create an object? The same syntax, like class name, some reference variable equals to new this. So whenever you create an object, the memory for this variable will be assigned. So whenever you destroy the object, so generally will not be destroying that object. So JVM has that it will be destroying unused objects will be removed by JVM. There is some other techniques to remove that. Whenever you are trying to destroy the JVM is removing that objects, then only this non-static variable memory will be arised from it. So on creating of object, the memory will be assigned for it. On destroying an object, the memory will be destroyed. So this is nothing but your non-static variable or an instance variable. Instance means I'm always talking for an object. Instance always takes for object level only. So how will I declare a static variable? The same way with but a static keyword. Static int c equals to some 9. So this is how I will declare a static variable. Declare and assign it. So this is nothing but my static variable. Give him 1 minute, I will keep charging now. So this is nothing but your static variable. So why I am calling it a static variable? The same thing. You declared outside your method, but inside your class, but with a static keyword. So you see your in P there is no specifier, there is no static keyword. So that's the reason you call it as non-static, the identification. So the int C, which you have a static keyword. The static is a predefined thing. Predefined keyword. As I told you, there are many predefined things, right? The class is a predefined. So similarly, static is a predefined keyword, reserved word which is available in your Java. So static int C, if I call, that is nothing but my static variable, or this static variable. So if I say this non-static variable belongs to object, then the static variable always belongs to class level. It means the same concept. So like the object, the memory for this will created whenever you create an object. The memory for your static variable will be assigned at the time of class loading. The class loading will happen at the first. So what is a class loading is, whenever I'm just running this program, right? So when I'm just running this program, but JVM has to load this class. So after loading only, it will identify, okay, your OS or operating system should load this class. After loading only, it will identify there is a main method, and from there it is going to start, right? So first the class loading happens. So on class loading, your static memory for the static variables will be created, right? Whenever the class removed from your JVM or memory, then only the memory will be destroyed for this. So static variable always belongs to the class level. Is this clear on the variables? What are the variables and how you declare it? What is the difference between your static, non-static, and the local variables, and when the memories will be allocated for it? Hope clear, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. For static variables and methods, so we not need to create an object, right? So by we can call it by using a class name, right? So this what do you say?
Yes, I'm going to tell, like you're telling how
Yeah.
to call these variables, right?
Yes. If there is
Yes.
a yeah. Okay.
You're telling how I'll assign it, how I'll call it. I'll be telling it.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Okay. So here, how you have a static variable and static, same like you have a static method as well as a non-static method. So here, how you identify it? If you have a static keyword, you are telling it as a static method. If there is no static keyword, you are telling it as a non-static method, right? The same way for a method also, if you do not have any static keyword, then I call that method as a non-static method. So can you tell what is this void m1? This is nothing but my non-static method. The same, the rule for whatever the rule that you followed for variable, the same rule is for a method. So why? Because there is no static keyword. What I call this as a non-static method. So how you have a non-static variable? Same like you have a non-static method. So this is nothing but my non-static method. So the same concept. When the memory for this non-static method will be created, whenever the memory for static variable will be created. When the memory for static variable created, whenever the object creates. So whenever the object creates, it will create the memory for static variable as well as static method. Sorry, now whenever the object creates, it will create the memory for non-static variable as well as non-static method. So the object creation for non-static. So I can tell whenever the object creates, the memory for non-static members creates. Member means variable as well as a method. So can you tell me how I'll write a static method then? So same, how I'll write a static variable, static in C. So when I want to write a static method, static some void, that is nothing but the return type M2. So this is how I'll be writing a static method. So when this memory for this will be created, whenever at the time of class loading. So I can tell memory for non-static member. Your member means it will be a variable and method, right? Will be created at object creation. So memory for static member, the same. Will be created at class loading. I think you are clear with these two statements. So you see how you how you declare a static member, how you declare a non-static member, whenever the memory gets created. So we'll come to the point how you access it and how you call it. So whenever you want to call a non-static member, so to call the non-static member, calling is nothing but accessing. Any word is same. Like whenever I want to access a non-static member, so what I need is nothing but I need to create an object. Creation is mandatory. So object creation is mandatory to call the non-static member. So I need to create an object, and with that reference variable only I should be calling it. So I'll create an object called a, some example a, and what is the reference variable? A. This is nothing but a is a reference variable. A dot something m1. So this is how you should be calling it. Assuming your m1 is a non-static method. Assume you have an m1 called something like void m1, which is of non-static method. So how I'll be calling this non-static method? A dot m1. Assuming you have a class A, and I'm just creating an object reference and I'm calling a dot m1. So object creation is must. So the same way I have done it, right? So this is nothing but a non-static variable, non-static member, non-static method. So this why? Because there is no static keyword. So how I call it? I created an object and with object reference dot display method. So this is how you need to call a non-static method. So same way, whenever you have a non-static variable also. For example, I have a variable called int. So what is this? This is nothing but my non-static variable. So whenever I want to give a value to this also, what should I be doing? A dot some. So sorry, fs dot a equals to some file. So I should be using object reference to assign the value to a non-static variable, and whenever I want to call a non-static method, I should be calling with this reference. So the object creation is must. I cannot able to do with class name. Same way when you have a static member. So I'll write a static method. Static some void m1. So this is nothing but my static method. So I'm just writing something inside a static method. So whenever you want to access a static member, you can able to do with the class name. So the object reference is not mandatory. So I can able to access with class name. So I can write syntax for accessing a thing is class name dot method name to call non-static. Sorry, to call static member or a method, anything. So how I'll be calling the static method? Then M1 is a static method. So what is my class name? First program. Class name dot M1. This is how I access a static method. Same way, when you have a static variable, how you give the value? Static sum int p. So there's nothing but my static variable. So the same way, how I've done for non-static, object reference dot a equals to. But here, what I should be using? Class name dot b. Is this clear? How I declare it? And sorry, someone asking in the chat. Can you please? I have not seen the chat actually, so just now I have seen. If you have, you can unmute yourself and ask when you have queries, because I will not come to chat every time, right? I have not seen this. Where we can see the logs of a program other than console. Other than console, nothing. You can able to see in console itself, where logs in the sense you can able to write some log4j something you are asking, or when it comes to the server, like I'm running it in my local, right? In local you have a console to see. So whenever you write whenever you deploy your program to a servers where you have a logs concept, because they will not have a console, right? So they will be seeing it in, we'll be using a console, a logs concept classroom. So what is the use of static declaration? Why we need a static variable? I'll tell you. So after understanding what is a non-static and static, I'll tell you what is the use of static declaration. I'll come to that point. Anil Chaudhary, you're asking when we can call a method name directly without creating the object. Without, yes, for a static variable you can able to call without creating an object, Anil. That's what we are discussing.
Yes. In the same way, can we call a non-static variable directly without creating an object in non-static method? Let us say take an
Non-static
example
method,
that I have.
that's what you cannot call. You will get an error. That's what I'm trying to going to
Okay,
tell.
okay. For
So
non-static variable or whatever it is, we have to call only by creating an
with the
object.
object. So for
Yes,
example, you have a display. This is nothing but a non-static
yes,
method, right? So if
yes,
you are trying to call this without creating an object, if I'm trying to call
yes,
this with the class name, it will show me a compile time error.
yes. Okay,
So
okay.
class name dot I'm trying to call display.
Display. Yeah, yeah. That's fine. Yeah, yeah. It will show you an
It will
error.
show a
Yes, yes,
compile time error. You can read that error also. Cannot
yes.
make the
Yeah,
static references to the
yeah.
non-static method. So
Yes, yeah.
here
But
object.
yeah, yeah. But my
But
question is
vice
like, yeah,
versa is
the main,
possible.
yes, the main method is at default it will be a static. Okay, that's fine. So I'm asking
Yes,
that
yes.
if you are calling through non-static method, like for us take an example void something, like, let's remove this static from M1. Can't be called from here. Yeah, if you make it as a
Okay.
non-static here. Yeah. So what if we call? So what if we call int a if you want to initiate a value here in this method? So here also, yeah.
Mm. So now this is a non-static method. Yes.
Yeah,
Mm.
no, non-static method. Yeah. So can't we
Yes.
call the non-static variable from here, like from a non-static method? So this is my question.
Yes, non-static
Without
method
creating
can
an.
call from non-static, but whenever you call
Yes,
from
yes,
a static method, object reference is mandatory. For
yes, yes.
example,
That is my
you
yeah
have a
doubt.
display,
Yeah, yeah.
right, which is
Yes,
a
yes,
non-static method. So I can call
yes,
M1 from here.
yes. Right. Yeah.
From M1, you can call display. From a non-static
Yes,
member, you can access a non-static member,
yes.
where
We
the
can
object
access right.
creation
Yeah.
is not mandatory. But
Yes, yes.
whenever
That is my
from
question. Right.
static,
Thank you.
yes, from a static member, from a static method, when you want to call the non-static member, the object creation is
Okay.
mandatory.
Yes, yes,
So
yes. Only
I
whenever
think
we
there are more
calling,
to
we only
discuss in
calling from
static.
a static. Yes, yes. Understood, understood. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, there are more to discuss in static. I have not that usage, why you declare it, why the memory. I just trying to
Yes,
understand
yes,
and
yes,
try to
yes, yes, yes.
just
Yeah, yeah,
started.
yeah, yes, yeah. Thank you.
Whatever the points that you are asking, I'm going to tell in the things. But fine, you are good to
Yeah,
ask. But hmm,
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, thank you for clearing.
hmm. But you are clear, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. I'm clear. I'm clear.
Yes. And then what is the usage of it, and what are the rules for this, and also I will be covering it out. But the syntax and but the vice versa is possible. What is the meaning of vice versa? As I told you, a non-static member cannot be called without object creation. But what is the vice versa? A static member can be called with class name as well as with object creation, but it is not recommended. It will give a warning. So it means I have an M1 as a static member, right? So that I can call with object creation as well as with the class name. So, but the standard one is nothing but using a class name. That is a recommended one because that belongs to the class level. So you should be calling with the class name itself. But if you call with the object reference also, it will not give any error, but it will throw a warning, right? It is not recommended. So it means if I am trying to call fs.m1, it will not show any error. The program will also execute, but you can see there is a warning. The static method M1 from the type must should be accessed in a static way. So it is a static method. Why you are trying to access in non-static way? You should be accessing in a static way. It is not an error, but still that is a warning. It is not the recommended to access with object reference. You see, inside static executed 2 times. Why? Because we have written it for 2 times. We have executed it with the 2 times. One is with the class name, one is with the object reference. So I have not written any package, so that's the reason it is taking here the default package. Okay, I can. It's not like assignment. Can I give one thing? So please try to do it by tomorrow. Can you write a calculator class where you have this addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, right? and declare one of the method called one method with static, and one more method is like a non-static, and one method with parameters, one method without parameters, and try to access that 4 methods in different ways. Is it fine?
Yes.
Right. One more time, I'm telling, like, create a class called calculator. So as you know, the calculator will have different functions, but as of now, just write 3 or 4 functions. Make one function. If you make add as a static, make another function as a non-static, like making that how you are accessing it. And for example, multiplication, pass 2 parameters. As I told you, how you will pass the parameters to a method and how you will executing it, right? Without parameters also. So write the different scenarios for the calculator. Hope you can able to do it. It's a simple task. I'm just giving because it will be a learning, right? Everyone is fine for giving some assignment, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We are fine.
So someone asked what is the usage of the static variable, and what is the why for everything. Whenever you write any concept, should have some usage, right? So so that should have some real type comparative, then only it should be useful. Otherwise, nothing. We'll see. But in Java, I cannot able to directly jump to the usage after explaining the concept itself. I can able to come to that usage. So hopefully clear with the static and non-static. Here the point is, as I told you, your non-static member belongs to the object and a static member belongs to the class, right? So for example, if I create a 10 objects, right? I have a class called student. And I have something like int id, right? So here, if I'm creating an object, so this is what is this id? This is nothing but my non-static member. So a student is nothing but only you'll not have one student, right? You'll have 10 students or 100 students in a class. So student x2. As of now, there are 2 students I'm creating it. So generally there are a number of students that you have. So I'm creating 2 students, student 1, student 2. So there are 2 student objects I'm creating, right? So whenever I create a 2 student object, as I told you, it will create a memory for 2 student objects in a heap area. So whenever you create the memory for the student object, with this ID will be unique or it will be the different. You understood you understood my question, where this ID will be the common one for the both the students, or it will be different for 2 students?
It
I
will be
think
unique.
it will be different.
It will be, yes,
ID will be
it
different.
should be different. So as I told you, every object on creation of every object, the memory for non-static members will be created. So if I create a student object, ID will have, it is a unique for that student one. If again when I'm creating a student to object, you'll have one more ID for him. So it is like what happened to this int always it is. So if I do not give any, it will giving with the initialized values is nothing but 0 and 0. this is nothing but my S1. This is nothing but S2. So both should be in same size, but I was very bad. I do not know. It came with different size, but both are same students only. So there are two student objects created with S1 memory and S2 memory. So here, whenever you create an object, what happens? It is going to take all the non-static members. Whenever you create one more object, what happens? It is going to take all the non-static members. So how many non-static members as of now I have only ID. That's the reason it will take only the ID. For example, if the student is having a properties called name also, right? So whenever you create an object, because the ID and name will be different for every student, right? So that's the reason it is different for all the objects. So non-static member is the one which is not common for all the objects, which is the one which is different for every object that you create. So here again you have a different name. So if you do not give any value, by default it is going to take the value as null. So 0 is the default value for int and null is the default value for what I mean to say, your string. So you can change the values, right? So how I'll change it? So for example, for student 1, I want to give an ID, s1 dot id equals to, I'll give, so this is how we will access it, right? Reference variable dot that id equals to 1 and s1, this is for student 1 I'm giving, name equals to Raj. Same way for student 2, s2 dot id equals to 2, s2 dot name equals to Ramesh, something. So here what happens? You are changing one Raj to Rahul, right? So this 0 will change to 1. This will change to, this null will be removed and it will be changed to Rahul, right? Something. This ID will be changed to 2 and this will be changed to some Ramesh, right? This null will be removed. I'm not removing it, but this will be removed and it will be changed. Clear, right? So for every, if you have one more property, that will be created. So when you have one more student, the same thing. For example, student dot s3, so then ID and name will be different for other students. Am I right? So it means your non-static members will not be common for all the objects. It is different. But when it comes to the static member, so for example, I'll take a static something int z, some variable I have taken. So I'll tell what I'll take it. So some variable I have taken, but this static member will be common for all the students, right? For all the objects you have, this value is a common one. It means I have a z variable, which is a static member, which is commonly shared among all the students. If I change the z value, that is applicable for student 1 and that is applicable for student 2. So static variables are shared commonly because we have how many classes? We have one class. So in that one class, as I told you, static belongs to class level. So in that one class, we have only a static variable. If you create 10 objects also, for that 10 objects, the static variable, the static members will be common for all the 10 objects. That is shared commonly, but non-static members is different for all the 10 objects. Is this clear how that memory is shared for static and non-static members? How that sharing is happens? Okay. Now, like me, might be a student or might be an employee, right? Whatever it may be. So, can you tell me now? I told you what is the variable which will be shared commonly, what is the variable which will be shared differently for every object. So can you tell me now which will be your static member, which will be a non-static? In real time scenarios, I'm just asking you, and you take a student or employee. So what I can take, which variables I can take it as static, which variables I can take it as non-static?
Yeah. So the school name or school or class, it will be a static.
Exactly, that's what. Because that is the one which
And
will be common, right? Your school name or your college name, class. For example, in a class, you can have a class name also, right?
yes, yes.
Anything which
And
is, for example, when the school name changes, it is changes for everyone.
roll numbers, it will be a non-static. Everyone
Yes,
has a separate roll number.
yes, rule numbers, their names, their address, everything will be non-static because it is shared differently. Good, that's what I was expecting. So now you understood the what is the usage of static and non-static, right? When you use this set, where to declare it, right?
Yes.
And someone asked when to declare what is the usage. Is that clear? I don't know who asked. Shankar is not Shankar. Chandra. Is it clear? Is Chandra there?
Yeah, he said yes. He commented.
Okay, fine. So no issues. When you have something, you can unmute yourself and please speak out. Because if you type in the chat, Chandra or someone, anyone, I'm just minimizing this, right? I'm not getting any notifications like WhatsApp to see this. I have to go and see only. So don't think that he's not bothering about my question and he's telling, but why? Because I cannot see your question, right? Once I open this only I can see. So please unmute yourself and ask something. So what we done it, we just try to see it in the real with examples. So I'll create a class called employee. So I'll declare a static variable. So I can take something called static company ID, right? So company ID, which will be a static variable, right? For all the things. So I'm just taking 1, 2, 3, 9. This is something a company ID. So 1, 2, 3, 9 XZ, some company name, and int employee EMP ID, that is nothing but employee ID, string EMP name. So this will be a unique one, right? For every employees and everything. So I have a method called void display where I'll be displaying this company IDs and employee IDs. So what is my static variable? Company. So use the plus symbol which we added to concatenate the two strings. So like I'm printing static and I'm just writing what is this company ID. So non-static. So you can print some EMP ID. ID plus EMP name. I'm giving some space and printing it. I have a main method. So now what I will be doing, I'll be creating an employee object, right? Employee.e1 equals to first employee. So I just want to give an ID for an employee. E1.id equals to someone. E1 dot MP name equals to Ram. Before that, we can give a static for a company name. How I'll be giving it? So employee reference name dot company ID. Okay, already I declared it. Fine. You can change it if you want it. So, and what I want to do, I want to create one more object, right? I'll be creating one more object called employee 2. So now I'll do e2 dot employee ID. So I'm just assigning the values for the second employee. Dot emp name. Suresh something. So now I want to display one of the things. E1 dot display E2 dot display. Now can you tell me the output of this? Whatever we see in this in the diagrammatical or explanation, I'm just trying to explain it program. That's it. Are you clear with this or?
Yes, we are clear.
Okay, I'm asking, can you tell me the output of this program? What will be your company ID and MVP? I'm calling display method twice.
Okay, for E1 dot display, can you just scroll up?
Okay. I've created display method where I'm printing the static member and as well as the non-static members. Your EMP ID and EMP name. I've taken example student. Now I've taken example called employee.
Yeah, it will display company ID. First, like company ID will be 1, and next will be Ram. Why? Because like here, even we created ID mentioned as 1, right? And second we mentioned as Ram. I think this will be displayed first. The company ID is equal to Ram. Sorry, ID is equal to 1 and name is equal to Ram. And next it will be ID is equal to 2 and name is equal to Suresh.
Suresh.
Is
But what is your company
is
ID
that correct?
in both the cases?
Okay, so company okay, that is a company ID, right?
So here I'm printing the company ID.
Okay,
So I have a display method which is for it's a non-static method. So this is for two objects, right?
I haven't seen that. Okay.
Constant for both.
So now, okay.
It will be for both, right? For both the places, company will be same.
Yes, exactly. That's what I meant.
Yes.
Company ID will
Company
be
ID
same
will
for
be same.
both the
Yes.
things.
Yeah, but because it is static,
Yes.
static will be
The
there.
Whenever
static variable, right?
it will be loaded.
Yes.
The same example that what I've told you here. You have instead of
Yes.
Z, it is company ID, which
Yeah.
is common for both the objects. So it will be same.
Yes.
So what I've
Okay.
drawn here, I'm trying to show it here with the program wise.
Yes.
I have created a employee object with E1 and E1 dot ID I'm giving for the first employee, and the second employee I'm giving Ram, and employee 2 I'm giving 2 and Suresh, and I'm displaying E1 dot display and E2 dot display. Your company ID will be same in for both the cases, that is 1239 ZX. If it changes, it will change for the both the things. You see, static variable 1239 XZ and non-static variables 1 and Ram, 2 and Suresh. And your company ID is same for both the cases, both the objects. For both the employees, the company ID is same. Clear, or shall I debug it?
It's clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Hope it for everyone, right? Please let me know if someone also, because these basic things are very important when we go for further. So if I change this, it will be changed for both objects. Neither if you change with that also, like for example, I'll not declare here.
But usually we give it a class name. So class name.
Yes, generally you should be giving it a class name, but
Yeah.
this is not the suggested one,
Correct.
but you can give it.
Yes. Yeah.
So now what is output? Isha is company name.
For the second one, we will get null, I think.
Okay, for second object, you are telling that you will get null. Is it the same for with everyone?
No, for second one, it will give that company ID. So you remove it. No?
I think it will be common. I think so, but because it's a static method, right? So we declare that in static.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It will be
Whether you exactly whether you write with E1, whether you write with class name, that is the common for, as I told you, that is common for both the employees. Whether you do with E1 dot company ID also, it will be the common. You see, Isha Solutions, Isha Solutions. Got it? I'll put some space.
But we didn't call E2, no?
This is a static variable. So don't think on E1 or E2. So static variable is the one which is common for all objects, right? So I'll give a value. So you can give the value to a static variable with class name or with object reference. Whatever you give it, right? It will be a common. For example, if I change here with E2, now assume that I will change E2 dot company ID equals to something. The Isha solution got changed to Isha 123 solution, something like this. Now I'm printing. So whether it will come Isha solutions or Isha 123 solutions.
For E1 Isha solution, for E2 it's Isha 123 solution.
That's what the mistake. That's what I'm not. It will be Isha 123 solutions for both the things. So whenever it is one variable, how it will be different? You do not have two variables. You have company is only one variable. 5 minutes. You're confusing or?
Yes, yes. Once we change static variable, so it will be a constant for the same both the objects, right? So both objects will share whatever. This is
Yes,
right.
it is.
Yes.
For example, you have ID and name. You have ID and name
Got
that is different for different objects. But you have this company ID, right? This is nothing but
Yes.
company ID,
Got it.
right? It is the only one variable that is shared commonly among all, right? So whenever you want to give this value, you can give with class name, or you can give with object reference, or with this object reference, whatever you give it. So for example, if you give, it will change it to Isha, like this, Isha solutions. After that, this variable and came and it changed it to Isha 123 solutions. So the same variable you changed it, which is common. You do not have two company IDs. For example, you have company ID for employee 1 and company ID for employee 2. Whatever you said is right. Like you for E1 you have Isha solutions. For E2 you have whenever you print E2 object, it will be Isha 123 solutions. But you have only one variable. So how one variable will hold two values? For example, when you have int A, whether A should have B, A should have 5 or A should have 6 value. But how A will have 5 and 6 values? No, right? Is I'm clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So whatever comes at the last, that will take it as a output.
Sorry?
Whatever we are calling at the last, like for instance, we are calling E1.company is equals to Isha solution, and next time we are calling Isha 123. So it will take the last one.
Not like take the last one. The concept is we have only one variable. That's it. It's simple. For example, I have declared a variable called int A equals to some 5. Right? After that, I'll change A equals to 6. When I print A value, what will be there? It will be 5 or 6.
It's 6.
6, right? Because we have only A which is overridden by 6. The same way, we have company ID is only one. Before it was writing with Isha, you written Isha solutions, but now you written with 1, 2, 3. My concept is to tell you something, but it is only one variable, one thing which is common for all the objects.
Okay, got it.
Isha 123, Isha 123 solutions. So you should not be giving with E1, E2. Why I have given? Because to understand, to make you understand the concept. So you have one variable that is a static variable, can be assigned in any way. You can use a class name to use assign the value. You can use object reference to assign the value. Whatever you use it, but it is only one variable. Isha 123 solutions, Isha 123 solutions. For the both the objects, your company name is changed. That's like a real concept, right? So whenever we are working, so for example, we are all working like you are as a you are attending, and I'm for Isha, right? So firstly, whenever the Isha they want to change their name, so for everyone the name changes, right? Even when you work in a company also, if the company name changes, it may be whatever the source, it may be whoever the changes the name, it may be the CEO changes, or with some proposal some person changes the company name, or that organization name, that is changed for all the employees, right? It's the same thing. So for example, for one employee it will not be some Infosys. For other employee it will not be some Satyam, right? For example, Satyam changed it to Tech Mahindra. If it changes to Tech Mahindra, it will be for everyone it is Tech Mahindra. For one employee it will not be Tech Mahindra, for other employee it will not be Satyam, right? The same way, for one employee it will not be Isha, and one employee it will not be Isha 123. You got the concept, right?
Yeah, we got it.
Yes, yes. Why I was very stressing and trying to explain this more, because there is some misconceptions happen. That's what I do not want to happen. This is like a very basic thing that will help. These are the basic stuff to go forward actually. So when we are not clear with some on basic things, and when we go forward, there is some other misunderstandings will happen. So that's the reason I do not want to have it. So if you understand also, I'm trying to repeat it to make the things very, very clear. Okay, please go through this. If you want, you can also search some tutorials or something else, and go through this, and try to do some more examples. And I hope you'll do that calculator example, writing static and non-static and all that. Thanks. Okay, I think we'll wind it up. Hope the session is useful. Okay, any queries before winding it up the session?
We are good.
So you're telling the class is a static class. Do we need to create the object? Didn't got you. I guess static is not applicable for a class level itself. 1 minute, sorry. Can you see? Illegal modifier for a class, only public, abstract, final are permitted. You cannot write static classes. Can you see this error? Got it right? Only public, abstract, finals are permitted. You cannot write static classes. Okay. Okay, got it. Yes, private also not allowed. Private and protected are not allowed at a class level. Private and protected are a class access specifiers. Anil, I'll discuss whenever we discuss access specifier. I'll tell why private is not allowed. You have a public, right? So when you're trying to write, you're trying to change this as a private, it will show me an error. Why private is not accessible? Because we'll see once we discuss access specifiers. And even protected also. Only public and default are applicable. If I don't write, it is nothing but your default access specifier. Okay. Okay, Anil. Got it, I guess. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.